Chapter 32. The 8th Masque. The French Quarter was a wildfire on Fat Tuesday's final night, its streets a frenzied tapestry of Mardi Gras floats, masked revelers, and the brassy roar of parade bands. On Canal Street, the crew of Endymion's grand procession surged, its towering float, a gilded phoenix ablaze with torches, casting shadows on screaming crowds clutching beads. The air was thick with the scent of gunpowder from firecrackers, spilled absinthe, and the Mississippi's damp breath. Julien Dubois pushed through the throng, his scar burning, Madame Zora's talisman heavy around his neck. Celeste's rescue from Magnolia's end and Zora's revelation about the Order of the Crescent Moon's ritual fueled his resolve, but a piercing whistle from Officer Malone signaled a new horror. Julien found Malone near a parade barricade, his face ashen, his voice barely audible over the crowd's din. Another one, Dubois. Right in the middle of the damn parade. He pointed to a float's shadow, where a body slumped against a lamppost, half hidden by a pile of beads. The victim was Maurice Blanchard, a shipping magnate whose fleet rivaled Vincent Devereaux's, his portly frame unmistakable despite the blood soaking his silk vest. A grotesque papier-mâché mask, red and gold, leering, with a crescent moon etched on its forehead, covered his face, the leather straps knotted tightly. A single stab wound pierced his chest, precise as the 7 before him. Julien crouched, his gloved fingers brushing the mask, the Order's signature a taunt. Blanchard's death, in the parade's heart, was a brazen strike, exploiting the chaos Julien had tied to the parade schedule. 8th victim, Julien muttered, his voice grim. Another Order member, gutted like the rest. The crowd's cheers turned to gasps as word spread, panic rippling like a stone in water. Revelers surged back, some screaming, others clutching masks as if they might shield them. The city was unraveling, the Order's ritual tearing at its core. Malone gripped his billy club, eyes darting. This is madness, Dubois. Blanchard was tossing beads on the float an hour ago, alive. How's the killer slipping through this mess? Julien stood, his gaze sweeping the parade's chaos, Endymion's phoenix float rolling on, oblivious. The parades are their cloak, he said. Crowds, noise, masks, they strike and vanish. But they're rushing now, 8 down, 2 to go for their ritual. Zora's words about the final crescent echoed, the Magnolia's end altar waiting for its last blood. A megaphone crackled nearby, Chief Inspector Harold Grayson's voice booming over the crowd. Curfew effective immediately. Clear the streets by order of the NOPD. Grayson stood on a makeshift platform, his graying mustache twitching, his eyes avoiding Julien's. The curfew was a desperate bid to quell the panic, but Julien knew it was also a leash. Grayson's bribes from Devereaux meant he'd rather lock down the city than face the Order's truth. Julien lit a cigarette, the match flaring in the dusk. Curfew's a joke, he told Malone, his voice low. Grayson's covering his tracks, not stopping the killer. I'm heading to Magnolia's End tonight, curfew or not. The Order's ritual ends there. Malone hesitated, glancing at the patrolman enforcing the curfew. You're defying Grayson? He'll have your badge, Dubois. Let him try, Julien said, crushing the cigarette. He spotted Celeste in the crowd, her notebook out, her auburn hair catching the torchlight. She'd be with him at the plantation, her defiance matching his own. The city's panic was a distraction, but Julien's path was clear. Stop the Order, save the final sacrifices, end Devereaux's reign. Zora's talisman pulsed against his chest, a faint shield against the moon's shadow. As the parade's drums faded under Grayson's curfew orders, Julien slipped through the crowd, the crescent moon high, its light a countdown to the ritual's bloody climax. The Order was waiting, and he'd meet them head-on, badge or no badge. Chapter 34. The Sisters' shadow. The French Quarter was a ghost of itself as Fat Tuesday's final hours ticked away, the Mardi Gras revelry silenced by Chief Inspector Grayson's curfew, leaving only the hum of distant patrol whistles. In the Treme, where Creole cottages sagged under the weight of time, Julien Dubois stood before his childhood home on St. Claude Street, its faded shutters creaking in the night breeze. His scar burned, Madame Zora's talisman heavy around his neck, the ritual artifacts from Devereaux's mansion, ledger, pendant, masks, burning in his coat. The Order of the Crescent Moon's final ritual at Magnolia's End loomed, but the crescent moon pendant, identical to Amelie's, had dragged him here, chasing a truth buried for a decade. The house was a relic, abandoned since Amelie's murder 10 years ago, its air thick with dust and the faint scent of jasmine from her old garden. Julien's flashlight swept over cracked plaster and warped floorboards, memories of Amelie, her dark hair, her laugh, her fierce curiosity, cutting like glass. She'd been 20, a seamstress with a knack for secrets, found strangled at Magnolia's end, a crescent moon pendant in her hand. Julian, then a rookie cop, had failed to solve her case, the guilt a shadow he couldn't shake. Devereaux's hidden room, with its matching pendant, had cracked open that wound, and he needed answers before facing the order tonight. He climbed to Amelie's old room, its walls papered in faded roses, her sewing table untouched. His fingers traced a loose floorboard, a hiding spot she'd used as a girl. It lifted, revealing a small leather journal, its pages yellowed but intact. Julian's pulse surged as he opened it. Amelie's elegant script a voice from the grave. "I found something dark," she wrote. "A secret club, the Order of the Crescent Moon, meeting in masked balls and bayou ruins. They speak of blood, power, a ritual under the moon. Vincent Devereaux is their leader, charming but cruel. I followed them to a plantation, Magnolia's End. I fear they know I'm watching." Julian's breath caught, his scar a burning line. Amelie had been investigating the order, her curiosity drawing Devereaux's wrath. Later entries grew frantic. "They're watching me. The pendant was a gift, but it's a mark. I must tell Julian, but it's too dangerous." The final page, dated the night she died, read, "If I'm gone, find the sanctuary. Stop Devereaux. The moon must fall." A crude sketch of Magnolia's End's oak marked the page, mirroring Celeste's map. He clutched the journal, rage and grief choking him. Amelie wasn't a random victim. She'd been a threat to the order, killed to silence her, her pendant a precursor to the ritual masks now claiming lives. Devereaux's greater purpose, hinted at in the mansion, spanned a decade. The Crescent Moon murders a revival of that blood pact. Julian's failure to save her fueled his vow. End the order, stop the ritual, make Devereaux pay. His flashlight flickered, the house's silence pressing against him. Celeste was waiting, her own resolve steeled by the order's artifacts. The journal was proof, Amelie's death tied to the 8 murders, Devereaux the thread binding them. As Julian stepped into the night, the crescent moon glared, its light a countdown to the ritual's climax. He pocketed the journal, Zora's talisman a faint shield, and headed for Magnolia's End, where Amelie's shadow and the order's bloodlust would collide. Chapter 33. Devereaux's endgame. The French Quarter was a fading ember on Fat Tuesday's final night, its Mardi Gras revelry subdued by Chief Inspector Grayson's curfew, the streets eerily quiet save for patrolling officers. On Esplanade Avenue, Vincent Devereaux's Creole mansion glowed like a forbidden jewel, its white columns and iron-lace balconies bathed in moonlight. Julian Dubois and Celeste Moreau approached its gates, their steps silent on the cobblestones. Julian's scar burned, Madame Zora's talisman heavy around his neck, while Celeste's amulet glinted, her notebook clutched tightly. The 8th murder, Maurice Blanchard, masked during the Endymion parade, had plunged the city into panic, and the order's final ritual at Magnolia's End was imminent. Devereaux, the order's suspected leader, was their last chance for answers before the bloodshed climaxed. A butler, his face a mask of unease, led them to a grand study, its walls lined with leather-bound books and portraits of stern Creole ancestors. A chandelier cast golden light on a mahogany desk, where Devereaux stood, his tall frame impeccable in a black suit, his dark hair slicked back, his blue eyes gleaming with predatory calm. At 40, he was a titan of charm and menace, his shipping empire a front for the order's ritual killings. He gestured to 2 velvet chairs, his Creole accent smooth as silk. "Detective Dubois, Miss Moreau, an unexpected honor. To what do I owe this nocturnal visit?" Julian remained standing, his revolver a reassuring weight, his voice sharp. 8 dead, Devereaux, Levine, Thibodeau, Leclerc, Clara, Dupont, Martineau, Rousseau, Blanchard, all order members, all masked with your crescent moon. Your speakeasy, your tunnels, your plantation altar. The ritual ends tonight at Magnolia's End. Stop playing games and tell us who's killing for you. Devereaux's smile was a blade, his hands spreading in mock innocence. You weave a dark tale, detective, but I'm no villain. My businesses are legal, my balls mere festivities. The order? A myth you and Miss Moreau have spun into headlines. These murders are tragic, but I'm not their architect. He poured absinthe from a decanter, his movements deliberate, his eyes never leaving theirs. Perhaps you seek a scapegoat to soothe the panicked city? Celeste stepped forward, her green eyes blazing, her notebook open. Scapegoat? Your ledgers tie the victims to your liquor profits. Clara feared betraying the moon. A phrase you let slip. Magnolia's End is your sanctuary, and tonight's ritual is your greater purpose. Deny it, but we've seen your masks, your altar. Devereaux's smile flickered, a shadow crossing his face before he sipped his absinthe, his voice softer, almost reverent. A greater purpose, you say? Perhaps there's truth in that. New Orleans craves order, power to rise above its chaos. But I'm no killer, Miss Moreau. You chase shadows, and shadows are unkind. His words were a riddle, hinting at the ritual's ambition without confessing. Julian's scar itched, his patience fraying. Enough. We're searching this place, Devereaux, with or without your blessing. He moved toward a bookcase, his instincts screaming of secrets. Celeste followed, her fingers brushing a hidden panel that clicked softly. The bookcase swung open, revealing a narrow chamber lit by flickering candles. Inside, a stone altar held crescent moon medallions, bloodstained knives, and a ledger listing the 8 victims marked offered beside each name. A map of Magnolia's End was pinned to the wall, circled in red. Final Crescent, Fat Tuesday. Julian's pulse surged, the artifact's proof of Devereaux's complicity. Your myth looks real enough, he growled, pocketing a medallion. Celeste snapped photos with her camera, her amulet glinting in the candlelight. Devereaux appeared at the chamber's entrance, his charm gone, his eyes cold. You've overstepped, detective. This changes nothing. The moon rises, and purpose is greater than you will prevail. He turned, vanishing into the mansion's halls before Julian could draw his revolver. We've got proof, Celeste said, her voice steady but urgent. But he's not stopping. The ritual's tonight, and he's headed there. Julian nodded, the talisman grounding him. Then we follow. Magnolia's End now. As they fled the mansion, a parade's distant drums echoed, a reminder of the city's chaos and the Order's deadly endgame. The crescent moon hung high, its light a beacon to the ritual's bloody climax, and Julian knew Devereaux was no longer hiding. He was daring them to stop him.